In this video we're going to take a look at part 1 of how you can command and control ARCHICAD. Basically we're going to look at some keys that can be used that are pretty much old school keys that do very simple tasks very quickly. In more recent versions, in the last 10 years or so, there's been other functions introduced that give you shortcuts and give you buttons to do similar things, but actually these old school techniques are still very much valid today and can save a good bit of time. So the first part we're going to look at, command and control, is a bit of a hint. We're going to be looking at the command key if you use a Mac, or, sorry for all those Mac fans out there, I'm using a PC today, so we're going to be talking about the control key. And if you hear me talk about the control key, if you use a Mac, that is completely interchangeable with the command key. It's also sometimes known as the Apple key. There's a few simple things we're going to look at. The first one is just trim. Now there is a trim button somewhere on the interface. We can see it up at the top of the screen here. You pick trim, you trim your element, and that's it, finished. If you want to trim another element, you trim again, trim the next piece. It's quite slow because you're going backwards and forwards and you can only do one at a time. Instead of that, if we just simply hold down, in this case because it's Windows, the control key, or as I said earlier, command on the Mac, you can trim, and this will quite happily chop away elements all day long. What happens is when you control click, it chops from the point closest to where you are to the nearest intersection. So in this case it's trimming away there. If I control click in the middle, then you'll see what it does is it trims to the two nearest points. So in terms of these lines, I could either trim away the middle pieces, or we could come in and tidy up these ends. And literally all I'm doing is holding down the control key and clicking to trim away. So the next one's extend. Now this is a little bit different to trim. Trim, you just literally hold the control key, doesn't matter what tool's active, there's no real rules with it. With extend, and also the following ones, there is a sequence you have to follow. So the first thing is, if I want to extend a beam, I can select the beam, but I must make sure that the beam tool is active in the toolbox. If I'm on a different tool, it won't work. So let me show you what happens if I control click across here. That extends, all nice and easy. If I go to the wall tool and control click, then because I have sounds turned on, we just have noise. It doesn't actually do anything. So I must be on the beam tool. Control click now and it works. We don't have to do one at a time. I can select a whole pile here. I can control click to the wall edge. I can control click to the beam. I can control click to the center line. Whatever I actually choose, as long as there's a linear edge, I can see a Mercedes icon, I control click and it works. If I now want to extend the walls, I must make sure that the wall tool is active. Select what I want to extend, so just shift click, and then control click with the Mercedes icon, preferably the thick Mercedes because that's going to connect to the reference line. And what that does is join up these walls. If we now take a look at break, this comes in handy if I want to do something like maybe change the structure of the wall type in here, or maybe you can see here I've got some sketch lines going across here and here. If I want to change these line types, not the whole thing, what I must do is break the components into smaller pieces that are more manageable. So the process is very similar actually to extend. If I select this top wall, what I can do is look for the bold Mercedes icon. I'm going to control click. This time it's an edge that cuts. So what happens is the wall is broken and ARCHICAD always leaves the shortest side selected. So I can deselect, select here, control click, and it trims that. So this piece of wall in the middle now, I can select, drop into the settings, and let's just change for some other wall type. So you can see because that's broken, this is now changed, but the two ends remain completely intact. If I want to change the colour of the line in here maybe, select this one line, it's one piece right now, but I can Control click here, and you'll see a deliberate mistake because I'm not on the line tool, so I've actually just trimmed. So one of the next things we're going to talk about is shortcuts. We'll come on to that, but I'm going to use one right now, which is Ctrl Z for undo. Obviously that was a deliberate mistake. I'll grab the line tool this time. Now I'll select the line that I want to break, and I'll Control click again, and because I'm on the line tool, this time I get a break. I'll Control click here as well. Trims off that piece or breaks that piece. I can then take the bit in the middle and we can just change it to a different line type. So let's maybe have some zigzags. I will change its colour to something else. So quick change there. Similarly, if I take this large line, we can Control click here, select that piece, Control click up here, and a piece in the middle, again, we can go change to maybe just a different colour this time, just for the sake of change. So the same is true for any of these. If I want to work on the beams, beam tool active, shift click to select, Control click where I want to break, select again, Control click this piece, and now what I can do is take the middle section that's now broken. We go into the settings, I'll maybe change it to just a regular square beam, make it 4 inches. OK that, and we can see it's now changed. The next one to look at is how we can use the Control key with dimensions. So in here you can see I've done a fair bit of messing around. This is the trim exercise I used earlier. I have a couple of dimension lines in place, and like the other options other than trim, if I want to edit a dimension and make sure the dimension line's active. So I can pick this up, so I can select this, and maybe what I want to do is add the corners. So we're going to hold down Control, we're going to look for a tick mark, make sure we've got highlight so it's going to associate, click the mouse, and there we go, Control click, and that's just added additional points. If I want to add a point that's in the middle, it's a bit like break, then Control click, and that adds that one. Control click in here, and that adds that one. And you can literally Control click anywhere. So that's a non-associative point because it's just a random point in the middle of nowhere. So again, shortcuts, Control Z is one of these really handy universal undo shortcuts that goes across pretty much all products and all platforms. Can select this dimension line, and we can just add in key points with a simple Control click, and it's nice and simple and easy to do. So the last thing I was going to take a look at is some shortcuts, and there's only a couple really to mention, but the first two are very much universal. They're already given the game away, but let's actually look at one before that. So what I'm going to do is I want to select everything. So very, very simple. Control A for all, and that just selects everything on this story or elevation or plan or layout or whatever view is active. Literally, Control A is select all. We can take it a little bit further. We can go maybe to the window tool, and we can do Control A again, and that selects all windows again on this story or view or whatever it is. And then the final step with this is to take a marquee, put it around a particular area. This time we'll go for the object tool, and again Control A selects all objects that are inside or touching the boundary of that marquee. So it's really quite a useful one and pretty basic filter. The next one I've already mentioned, the undo command. If I was to draw something, and decide that once I've done it, I don't want them, I can literally just do Control Z, and that does an undo. So I did it 3 times there to take out the last 3 options. There is a limit to the number of undos. It's also cleared by hitting the save button, but generally undo is your backup plan if things go horribly wrong. Not to confuse with a backup PLN, that's a different thing, but anyways, that'll do for now. So final couple of shortcuts. These are a couple that I personally use all the time, and that's just simple navigation one. So if I'm on my story 0 here and I want to go up a floor, I don't particularly want to go and dig through the folders in the navigator to find what story I want to go on. There's various ways to do that, but I just want to quickly go up a story. So all I do is Control or the Command key on a Mac and just the up arrow. And what that does is, thanks to my very subtle numbering system here, is that moves me up to the floor above. You can also see the naming and the numbering on the name of the tab up here. So Control, up arrow, again takes me up another floor, and again takes me up to the roof. And if we try and go too far, what it'll do is prompt us to create a new story. So I'll cancel that. To go back down, I'll give you 3 guesses to what the shortcut is. So Control up arrow to go up. So naturally, Control down arrow. To go down as far as we can. And again, if I try and go another story, it comes up and prompts to create another new one. So that's the first part of how to command and control ARCHICAD. There will be follow-up articles going through some other keys. You can keep an eye out on the BIM6X blog for those.